Cobra Kai Season 4. We watched it. We want to share our thoughts. We hope you join us. If you are, thanks for checking us out. I'm Andrew. This is Adam. It Takes Two Takes. I will warn everyone, we're going to spoil some things. I don't know how hard, but hard enough. That sounded terrible, but that's what's going to happen. And I will say that I'm just going to go spoil my opinion briefly, and we'll get into detail. I enjoyed it. It delivers yet again. So we'll lead with that, and I'm going to explain some big things that happened this season along with Adam here. Let's get to it. We start off with the obvious here, right? A little odd couple action going on with Daniel LaRusso, Johnny Lawrence, trying to co-manage their dojo together.
They hadn't worked it out. They hadn't worked out any details. Just let's work together. And their personalities were just, and their fighting styles, everything just were clashing left and right, you know?
Much like our video review, how we're pulling it off right now. Just no plan. We're just making it happen. You're on one side having people jump across buildings and kick each other in the nuts. And then, I'm over here. We're like, let's try to catch a fish in the koi pond. The juxtaposition, it was fun. And it delivered in a lot of areas I wanted it to. I love the two of them together. Ever since that started happening and they were sort of frenemies, I've enjoyed every second.
You see that they actually could get along. Ali last season pointed out, you guys are actually much more alike than you want to admit. And they try to get past their past, and it's got some bumps to it.
We got moments where they were kind of working together, where they're not getting along, and then we're just straight up fighting. It was a little sort of unofficial rematch between the two of them, which I'm sure pleased a lot of fans to have that moment. I also liked a little bit of the crossover. You got students that are, Sam, for instance, Daniel LaRussa's daughter, going over and learning a bit from Johnny was a great touch, because I'm going to be honest, I've not been a huge fan of Samantha LaRussa. I just not found her to be a very compelling character.
Yeah, I find myself rooting for Tory in like every fight that those two have, because I have not been a fan of Sam either.
And they even made Tory a much better character in this season. That's what's so great about the show. They were able to take certain characters that it's almost like they sit in a writer's room and they go, who haven't we given enough, to? Who haven't we built up enough? Who haven't we made intriguing enough? Can we give someone more of a backstory beyond these major characters that we had in the original trilogy? And they do that with the existing characters.
I think they've honestly, I think they've written Tory as a much better character than Sam. Mm-hmm. They've given her more depth, more understanding of why she is who she is. And she just feels more three-dimensional than this is Daniel's daughter. That being said, we get a little bit more of a dimension to Daniel's son, though. We start to see his side of things, and I really liked the moment where Daniel's talking to him, and they're talking about how he was too young to know Mr. Miyagi, so it's almost like the rest of the family and everyone else has got this past that he's just not part of and he can't connect to. I think a lot of the kids, we see a lot of good kind of story arcs with them, Eli being one of them. We're seeing his growth from being Hawk back to being Eli. My only complaint with all of this is sometimes it feels like they're just ping-ponging sides sometimes. And I know this show is trying really hard not to have any definitive good versus bad in a lot of ways, but it's starting to feel a little much when now it's going to seem like Kreese is going to be almost a sympathetic good guy type of character for the next season, and it's kind of like, okay, come on. We can have some bad guys who just stay bad guys. Like if they turn around and make Tory now the Sam's best friend and she becomes, part of Miyagi-Do and all of a sudden she's just like this great person, I'm going to get a little annoyed.
Yeah, I agree with you to an extent on what you're saying. The character motivations, their sort of ethics, morals, whatever you want to call it, they seem to be all over the place. But there's two different things. There's the sort of surface level bouncing between dojos, especially in this season. And then there's also, if we're going to chalk it up to good, bad, where do these characters lie? I think the point they're trying to make is that going to Cobra Kai doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. Much like being part of Miyagi-Do doesn't necessarily make you a good person. But I agree from a character level, regardless of what dojo they're in, it does seem like it gets a little bit, can we land somewhere here for some characters? And maybe that just means they're not developed well enough. I don't know. One thing's for sure, for particularly bad character, in my opinion, psychotic, some might say. We talked about Anthony LaRusso not really knowing Miyagi, I think it's interesting that Johnny Lawrence is basically catching up on Karate Kid 3 as we're getting through this season. He's like, wait a minute, hang on, what? Someone want to fill me in on this? And I'm sure there are some people that watch season 4 that maybe have never even seen Karate Kid 3, so he's sort of the surrogate for those people, which I thought was a nice touch. But we have the ponytail, Terry Silver. We knew it was coming. He's living his life. He put all that weird, misplaced like aggression and manipulative abilities, and he clearly built himself a business, right? He's busy eating like nothing but vegetables, living in this mansion. He's got a significant.
Well, he was rich before. Right. When we saw him the third,
I know he's rich, but the guy's navigated his way through the world free of all the distractions and weaknesses that come with running a karate dojo with kids. And then Kreese comes back. It's like, that friend when you're growing up, your parents are like, I don't want them over because they're a bad influence. They put you in a bad spot. Like that is Kreese to Terry Silver. Like his parents are like, no. This guy like brings the worst out of you. I don't want him over here. But then also like Kreese's parents are like, don't bring Terry Silver over here. That dude, like he might murder our cats. I don't know what's going on. You two together are just not a good thing. That is what happens. He's just like completely blissfully just living his life. I'm sure he messed with some people, screwed over some people, but something about Kreese getting a hold of him and getting him involved in these dojos, my guy just gets out of his mind. And that's when we saw him spiral out of control. And I know the Vietnam background and, the
Well, it's not just that. You find out that after Karate Kid 3, Kreese disappeared. They had this whole plan that they were going to open Cobra Kai throughout the whole valley. They lose the All Valley, and all of a sudden Kreese takes off and leaves Terry hanging. So when Kreese comes back and says, hey, remember that idea about Cobra Kai? Let's do that again. Terry at first has obviously got some concerns because he got bailed on once before. What is this actually about? Or is this actually about Cobra Kai? Or is this about something else? And Kreese tries to convince him that it's about Cobra Kai, but all along it's not, In the third movie, it wasn't about Cobra Kai. It was about revenge against Miyagi and Daniel. Right. And in this one, it's about trying to get Johnny back, and it's still revenge against Daniel. It really is. It's never been about Cobra Kai karate, but that's what he sells to Terry. So when later on in the season, we start to see Kreese going soft a little bit when it comes to Johnny, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, what the hell's going on? Are you going to drop me all over again?
And it might be too late, right? I mean, Kreese has kind of already awoken the beast that's inside Terry Silver. We don't know what surprises are in store for season 5. Could Mike come back? Really, like, of major characters, technically Hilary Swank's the only one that hasn't really come back as far as leads. So is that a possibility?
I don't recognize Next Karate Kid as being part of this franchise.
I would say that the showrunners would, though. I mean, that's Miyagi was in that movie. You know what I mean? It's part of that universe.
I get the showrunners might. I said I don't recognize Next Karate Kid as being part of this franchise.
Okay, well we'll get Will Smith's son Jaden to appear. Now I get it. Look,
that's the Kung Fu Kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. We had a little tease at the end. Chozen shows up, so you would assume that the two of them could combine forces and maybe take down Terry Silver. Maybe Kreese might come back and join forces with someone and take down Terry Silver. Either way, Terry Silver's got to go so someone can sort of take that throne of chaos.
The other interesting thing about Chozen coming in, because Daniel learned last season that there was some Miyagi that, karate that he never was taught.
Mm-hmm.
And now, at this point, what we had in this season was we had pretty much everyone being taught Miyagi-Do, because we had Johnny's kid teaching it to Cobra
Robby,
Kai. Yeah. We had Daniel teaching it to Eagle Fang as well as to Johnny. We have all these people that now have a good understanding of Miyagi-Do, and now, as well as now Cobra Kai. So Daniel doesn't really have any new tricks, and I think that's where Chozen comes in, because Chozen does have that aggressive version of Miyagi-Do, because what we saw in Karate Kid Part 2 was almost a Cobra Kai version of Miyagi-Do that Chozen was doing at that time, right? The much more aggressive. Chozen knows Miyagi-Do, but he also knows how to use it in a much more offensive way. He trained with Sato way longer than Daniel trained with Miyagi. So he may be teaching a whole lot more new tricks. We haven't even mentioned Miguel yet. Miguel's gone off to Mexico to go find his dad.
He'll be fine.
And Johnny went after him.
He'll be fine. Well, yeah, Johnny will be fine. If anything, it'll just be really entertaining until he comes back. We already know a season 5's in the works. We'll continue to speculate until then. But overall, another great season.
Yeah, and obviously we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this season, so absolutely leave those down below. We love reading them. If there was a significant moment or flashback that you really enjoyed, callback, or just even character moment, love to hear about it. Leave it down below. And until next time, this is Adam and Andrew with It Takes Two Takes.
Cobra Kai Season 4. We've never covered it before, and we absolutely had to this time around. Hey, everyone. I'm not Adam. Jesus Christ.
And we did cover Season 3.
Did we? Adam, what does it all mean anymore? Memories, the last 2 years. Who even knows?
You want to start again?
Oh, yes.